Last year, flu hospitalizations were the highest they've ever been. 106 out of every 100,000 people were hospitalized for the flu in the 2017 season, with over people, particularly 64, accounting for 58% of those hospitalizations. And guess what? The flu is already here. And with the holidays and people going out shopping and getting together for parties and all sorts of stuff, it's going to spread like wildfire. So therefore, to help you prepare for flu season, our guest is one of the all-time fan favorites, Dr. James LaValle. He is a nationally recognized clinical pharmacist, author, board-certified clinical nutritionist, and founder of Metabolic Enterprises Incorporated, which is a web platform and practice solution enterprise. He joins us today to share some of the most common questions he gets about the flu season and what you can do to prepare with some of his flu-busting tips. Hi, Jim. Welcome back to Holistic Healthline.
How you doing? It's good to be back.
It's great to have you back because we're going to pick your brain. The flu season is here. You look at the news, every other thing they're posting that somebody has died from it, or, there's this outbreak, and they're panicking everybody to run off and get the vaccinations, which is what they did last year, and that didn't work out so well. So, what do you think is a contributing factor as to why so many people, even though they're getting vaccinations, are still getting the flu?
Well, I think that in general, people just get under more and more stress. We're sleeping less and less. Food quality isn't what it used to be. Vitamin D levels are low. There's a lot of reasons why, we need to change our lifestyle so that we're not as vulnerable to the flu. The flu bug, the problem with it is now is that it used to be like, it's going to be from October to December. Now it's literally from September to almost April. And so and one of the reasons for that is we keep, pushing it around, right? Family comes home, you have a kid in school, they bring it home to all 5 members of the family, and it spreads through, and it can last for a good month through a household. More importantly, I think, when you don't sleep enough, you have if you sleep 5 hours a night, you have a 9 times more likely incidence of getting a cold or flu. 9 times more likely. A lot of people don't get enough sleep. A lot of people get stressed out. It's the holiday season. What am I going to, it's the whole thing of I've got parties to get to, shopping to get done, responsibilities, travel. All that stuff kind of starts to add up on people.
And so what are some of the things that people can do what are some of your inside tips that you found to be helpful in your practice?
Well, I think in the lifestyle side, I think it's really important for people to get I know it sounds stupid, but you got to get adequate sleep. In addition to adequate sleep, and that means, force the issue. Make sure you get to bed. In addition to that, hydrating is important. Laying off sugar. When you eat sugar, your white blood cells get lazy. When your white blood cells get lazy, they don't want to attack a flu bug. So, during the holiday season, there's always extra cookies and sweets around. You got to know when to say no. Obviously, the basic things about hygiene, wash your hands, even do nasal sprays, right? Kind of irrigate your sinuses. All of that's really important. And then once we get past that, then I think there's important things people should take. So, vitamin D is essential for a lot of people. I'm in Atlanta today. It's rainy. It's cloudy. The winters can get that way in a lot of areas of the country, and that means you're not going to get enough vitamin D. Then when you get past that, we can start talking about some super nutrients that I think are important for people to take.
And what are your favorites that you find to be, because, there's so many options out on the market today, and people are confused, which ones are really going to work, and not for nothing, but there's some fly-by-night companies out there that take advantage of it, and they're selling people, products that aren't even worth the box that they're in.
Yeah, I always like to look for where the evidence is at. And aged garlic extract, there's a Kyolic Formula 1 and 3 that I really like, because when they studied aged garlic extract in college students in the winter months, what they found out is that it actually would reduce the incidence, the severity, and the duration of colds and flus. And that's pretty important. So incidence, severity, and duration. How often I'm going to get it, how hard it's going to hit me, and how long it's going to last. I mean, so there's not a lot of products out there where you see those kind of studies that showed that it worked. And what I like about Formula 103 is it has other nutrients in it that are pretty important for, giving your body a good nutrient base for cold and flu season. So when you think of, there's astragalus in it, there's olive leaf extract, which olive leaf is fantastic for fighting off viruses, right? And then there's a great medicinal mushroom blend in it. It really becomes a great preventative. I like people being on aged garlic year-round. What I tell them to do is in September, start to add in some Formula 103, take that, and if you still want to get a little more extra aged garlic in, a little more Kyolic, then you can always go to taking, some just plain aged garlic along with it. And then the other thing I think it's important is, green drinks. I mean, once again, I'm a real fan of Wakunaga and Kyolic because their Kyo greens, for example, they've been making greens for 40 years. And so 40 years of they were making greens before greens were hip. I mean, now it's hip to like, oh yeah, I did the green dip, right? But they've been doing that for 40 years. And their Kyo greens, what I like about it is there's no additives, no extra sugars, non-GMO, vegan-friendly, all the things that you look for in a quality product. They have it in Kyo greens, and it disperses easy. And probably the most important thing is it doesn't taste bad. There's so many green drinks out there that kind of taste like, you just went out and cut the grass and brought it in and put it in the blender. And you kind of don't want that either. So and why do you want greens? Because greens alkalinize your tissues. In particular, the Kyo Greens Harvest Blend, I like it. There's a lot of superfoods in it that actually help your immune system. So, it's pretty simple to think about, hey, I'm going to take a few pills to prevent. I'm going to drink a green drink each day, which I should do it anyway because nobody's eating enough vegetables or fruit. And that's a pretty decent, and get that vitamin D in. And that's a pretty decent defense to try to prevent cold and flu from taking you down.
Now, you used a key word here, prevent, because most people that I know, they are looking to, what can I take because I'm sick right now? And are not looking to, what can I take right now to prevent getting sick? Is prevention really, the key here?
Well, it's interesting, right? We all take our car and we don't wait till our car's engine light. Not only it goes on, we don't snip the wires to the engine light so we can turn it off and go, oh, now I don't see the check engine light anymore. That must mean my engine's okay. We have to take as much effort for our body's kind of nutrition and our prevention as we take in picking out our next refrigerator. As much effort as we take, and I'm not kidding, picking out our next car, the next house that we're going to buy. People spend all kinds of time, looking up and deciding and discerning what I'm going to buy next. And what you really want to start to think about is, what am I going to do about my health next? And what are some simple things I can do day in and day out that are really going to make a difference? Because you know what? I think people are starting to catch on finally that, it's not normal to feel tired and get sick easy and not sleep well and feel restless and your brain feel like it's, pushing a thought through Jell-O, right? It's all those things that, we used to say, oh, you should, expect that now, you're 40. Now people are saying, oh, expect that now, you're 30. You really have to start to prevent. And, a couple simple things. And, look, one of the best things we can do, start changing our diet in general. If we want to talk about how we support our immune system, I think in general people eat too much. They eat too often. They eat at the wrong times of day. They don't get enough sleep, and they don't get enough exercise. So those are lifestyle things that you got to get under control. And then there's these key super nutrients. Kyo Greens Harvest Blend is so easy to use. They've got like a stick pack that you can pour into water. It's just a phenomenal product that really helps you kind of reach for your best health potential day in and day out.
Jim, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to kind of go back over the Formula 103 and, again, some of the nutrients that are incorporated, particularly the olive leaf and the oregano, as far as antiviral, antibacterial, and why they work and more balancing out your system as opposed to crisis intervention. So we're going to take a quick break and stay tuned because lots more to talk about how to get you and keep you healthy for the rest of this winter. Again, we'll be back with Holistic Healthline, your direct line to great health, and our guest, Jim LaValle. Back in a moment. And welcome back to Holistic Healthline, your direct line to great health. And our awesome guest, Dr. Jim LaValle, and he's helping us stay healthy and well for this holiday season, at least diminish some of the things that you might be exposed to. And I can say, Jim, that both Dr. Jansen and I are taking the Kyolic 103 formula, and partly because, one, we know, Kyolic is the best thing since sliced bread anyways, and for the aged garlic aspect of it, because that helps so many other areas of the body and not just, cold and flu, but also because it does contain the olive leaf and the oregano, as well as, some of the other things. But the olive leaf and the oregano in particular, you're seeing antiviral, antibacterial, and a lot of viral infections actually can turn into bacterial infections. Isn't that true?
Yeah, one of the biggest problems you have is that you start off with a virus and you end up with a bacterial pneumonia. That's why it's so important to support your immune system as much as you can. Because look, no one gets a get out of jail free card on cold and flu season. I mean, I know for myself, if I do catch something, I get over it relatively quickly, which is what the goal is. I get, maybe every 6 or 8 years, I get a touch of something, right? So it's not all that often, but it's incredibly important to understand that once you catch a bug and that virus starts to throw off your immune system, you become very susceptible to secondary bacterial infections, which then, affect your upper respiratory tract. And look, this is no laughing matter. If you think about it, if you're 70 years old or more and you're in what's called the geriatric population, that's a leading cause of death. People get secondary bacterial pneumonias, and it's one of the leading causes of death in the elderly.
And so, getting the immune system up on, and ready for this season is really the best way to ward off having to make those trips to the hospital and end up on, 3 or 4 or 5 different medications.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And like I said, the oregano, both oregano and olive leaf have really strong antiviral activity. And not only are they antiviral, they just have a general immune supportive effect where they get your T killer cells really activated so they're not sluggish, so that you can attack a cold or flu bug when it hits you. So, when you think of, aged garlic's got studies in and of itself. And then there's some vitamin C in there. And a lot of people don't realize, like everybody used to say, vitamin C, the cure for the common cold. Not really the cure, but the thing we know is when your body starts to fight a cold or flu bug, it needs 5 to 6 times more vitamin C for your white blood cells to be able to function. So should you do vitamin C? Yeah, take vitamin C. So what's nice about Formula 103, it's got vitamin C in it. And that's why, for the longest time we'd always hear that. There will be no cures. Just like, when we think about vaccines, for all of the urgency of getting vaccines, they're relatively ineffective. I mean, even the Center for Disease Control, you can go right up on their site and you can find out how effective the flu vaccine is. Every year they rate it. The last, I think, 9 years running, I might be wrong on this, it might even be 10 years running, it just simply hasn't been effective.
And I saw a study where they're finding that the more often you get the flu shot, the less effective it becomes, as well as they're finding that the earlier you get the flu shot, the more it degrades over a month period of time, so that by the time peak flu season is here, it's really not going to work for you.
Exactly. Yeah, it's it just goes back to look, the best defense is a good offense, and when we think about a good offense, it's really thinking about prevention and what do I do every day, and even in terms of exercise. What I tell a lot of people, if you're not trying to train for something, or you're not like a performance person and all you're trying to do is be fit. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking, oh, I need to work out really hard in order to get benefit from exercise. Moderate exercise, things like walking 30 to 60 minutes 5 times a week, just walking actually improves your immunity, whereas when you train harder, you actually have to create more countermeasures. You got to take more nutrients. You have to do more things to keep your immune system in balance because you've pushed your body harder. So don't underestimate the value of moderate exercise in supporting your immune system in the winter months.
And, a lot of people, again, think, oh, I got my flu shot. I'm covered. I don't need to do anything else. I always suggest to them, you need a backup plan because you can't rely on that flu shot to do squat.
That's exactly right. I mean, the backup plan should be your primary plan, and a flu shot. Like there are people that get exposed to a lot of flu bugs. So if you're a school teacher, and maybe there's going to be a crest in November or December in the flu bug in your area, and you decide you may want to take a flu shot, okay, that's your decision. I've never taken flu shots. I'm not a big fan. But if you decided to do that, it's like what you said. Time it so that you get the effect. But before you do that, get on some Formula 103, get on some green drinks, get on taking some vitamin C, make sure your vitamin D levels are good, get adequate rest. I mean, if I had to say it 100 times, I almost would want to just have it on a megaphone. Please get enough sleep. Please get enough sleep, because it's unbelievable how many people I talk to that simply cheat their sleep because now, I've got to get up earlier. I've got to look at my email. I've got to get my postings on Facebook. I've got to, which I get all that. We're in a modern world. We got to make it work. But in the end, you still got to get your rest, or your immune system will absolutely tank during this time of year.
And again, I think it's so important, particularly right now. Everybody's going out shopping. They're going out to parties. They're going out to dinner, movies, whatever. They're getting exposure to all sorts of different germs out there. You got to get your body prepared now. Natural medicine is more gently moving you in a direction as opposed to forcing. So you got to give the body time to, and give it the tools with which to do what it needs to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the beauty of it is if you think about, I always like looking at traditional cultures and think about, okay, since the beginning of time, how did people do it? And where we're looking at other cultures that live longer, how do they do it? In general, when we look at them, we go, oh, they live a lifestyle of health.
That's a new thought, huh?
Exactly. It's like, oh, you mean that people that live in Greece live longer? Yeah, they walk to the store. They eat fresh produce. They don't have a bunch of pre-prepared foods. Of course they live longer, right? So, I mean, I think it's interesting. And the other thing I like to get people to do, and I know I failed to mention this earlier as a lifestyle tip, but if I can just get people to breathe deep a couple times a day, I love it when they do what I call box breathing. You inhale in a 4 count, hold a 4 count, exhale a 4 count, and then hold a 4 count like a box, like 4, 4, 4, 4. And why that's important, it resets the stress response in your nervous system. And a lot of people don't realize that if you're anxious and you're feeling overcommitted, your immune system is becoming compromised. So when you eat sugar, because when I get stressed out, I want sugar, and sugar makes my white blood cells kind of get inactive. They're there. They just see a flu bug and go, oh, come on in. That's sugar. That's what sugar does. So when I do that, and then I get under stress, and I turn off my natural killer cells, I turn off a set of my white blood cells that are supposed to attack things, that becomes the recipe for disaster. So breathe deep, take a yoga class, go, read a book, take 5 minutes twice a day, do something that unloads that stress, because in general, people, I think, are loading that so hard on a regular basis, and that creates a lot of problems.
Jim, we want to thank you so much for being a guest today. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, and we want to remind everybody out there that if they go to their local health food store, they can find all of the great Kyolic products, particularly the Immune Formula 103 by Kyolic. And you can also go to kyolic.com, KYOLIC.com for more information. And Jim, you're always so much fun to have on. I want to thank you so much and hope to talk to you again soon.
That's great. Thanks for having me.
Happy holidays. And again, if you want more information, again, go to Kyolic.com, KYOLIC.com for more information.